Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. I host a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. This is Justice's Waiting Room. Welcome. Today, I wanted to start a couple minutes early. Um, I'm assuming people would just see this later. Um, but today, I'm starting the show a little early because I'm a little pissed and I don't know what to do about it. And my gut instinct, whenever I don't know what to do, is share your problems with others in hopes that we can help each other. So I don't know what to do here, but I'm gonna show you. So on my phone, okay, see TikTok up here. I'm gonna open it, okay? Get rid of this ad. I'm gonna go into my inbox. I'm gonna scroll down, not my inbox. Hold on, okay. See system notifications. We're gonna click on system notifications. Okay, we're gonna scroll down. So you can, I'm making this video so you can clearly see I'm on TikTok. Okay, I didn't make this up. Okay, we're gonna scroll down, scroll down. See this? Appeal submitted. Appeal and review. Okay, so I want to show you that. You can very clearly see that was submitted June 22nd, 8:33 a.m. Now keep this in mind. Normally, when uh, we get banned on TikTok, only takes a 15, 20 minutes to get unbanned because we're not breaking terms of service 99% of the time. We've had bans with held up. We've taken our lashes, certainly. But what I'm going to play for you today is why I cannot go live on TikTok. There's nothing we can do about it but write it out. But I wanted to air it out, make sure everyone knows. And I hope to God you can hear this. This is the video they sent me as to why I'm banned on TikTok. LGBTQIA plus veterans. That's who was at. I go to the fucking March 14th protests, and who was there? Fucking LGBTQIA plus veterans. That's who was at that fucking march. And then Pride. It's Pride, right? But then I've been to multiple fucking protests since the March 14th protest. And who did I fucking see? Outside of Pride and outside of that veterans protest, fucking the LGBTQIA plus, they actually fucking show up and show out at protests. So I don't know if you could hear that or not. Could you hear that? So in my mind, the point of that showing you that video or playing that is so you could hear me say, I've been going to protests this whole time. And I stand in the back and I'm observing who else is here, who's here, who's showing out at these protests in force. And it's the LGBTQIA plus community because they're so used to having to fucking fight for their right to fucking exist that they have absolutely no problem as a veteran to show up to a veterans protest. Again, what I want to make sure that you understand is the first level ban on TikTok is an AI ban. Why it's still under review? Honestly, you know why I think it's still under review? This sounds the dumbest shit I've ever said in my life. It's what makes me powerful. I'm not a fucking bigot. As I say all my socialist shit, and I also don't think people of color and women are beneath me. you become too powerful. What are they gonna fucking do? You're gonna have to work really fucking hard because I'm gonna figure out a way to show you why they don't want me on there on TikTok. And why like I have a degree in social media and it hates me. By the way, I got honked at walking the dogs this morning with my Dodgers hat on. People know what's up. People know what's up. I'd argue the LA Dodgers hat is the new Punisher hat, Punisher logo, because they fucked up the Punisher too. But I wanted to start out there today so you could very clearly hear uh, why we're not live broadcasting on. And I've run this scenario through the old simulation chamber, and the brain's telling me, don't create an alt, don't try to get it to enough followers to go live, don't do this. It's not worth. Um, I'm already not creating original content for Reddit. Everything I post on Reddit is on. I'm sorry. Fuck. Everything I post on TikTok, I have posted on YouTube first, and it's been that way for a while. And it's kind of a fuck you to TikTok. Is that I'm not even posting OC here, and I'm happy to report that I woke up this morning and had to pull the covers on, and you can clearly see I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm not broken out in a visible sweat. So we have yard looks fucking fantastic. It was a fucking wild. Yesterday was a wild one. Uh, I feel like an asshole. If you live in Indianapolis, do business with Trinity Landscaping. If you're on the east side, um, good morning. Um, guy shows up with like 4 trucks in the middle of the afternoon in the heat of the day, and he hops out and he starts directing them, and I can understand Spanish, I just can't speak it. And he's talking to him about cutting down tree branches, and I was like, whoa, 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 my air conditioner broke. I don't have the money for all that shit. And he was like, oh right, you just want us to mow. And I was like, yeah, you want to mow and trim and blow and shit like that. And he was like, you want me to spray? And I was like, yeah. And then I had to go back in the fucking house. I don't have fucking air conditioning. I have my dogs. I'm making sure they're drinking water and shit, right? I'm thinking like my dogs are gonna have a heat stroke. Um, yeah, no shit. My neighbor's like, oh my God, embarrassing. Yeah. Hey, good thing I have lived there the least amount of time out of anybody in that neighborhood, and I don't know anyone in that neighborhood. And whose fault is that? I don't think my neighbors have been very good neighbors. I think that's on them. I think they're supposed to come to your door and welcome you to the neighborhood and ask you what's wrong. Well, as you can see, everyone's yard is a 10, but yours. We want to help. Oh, I'm a disabled veteran. I can't lift my arm above my head, so that's why my gutters aren't clean, lickety split. It's why branches are fucking hanging down all over the place. It's 'cause I'm scared to death to climb up on a fucking ladder, and my arm gets stuck, and now I'm stuck like this, and I'm on a ladder, and how am I gonna get down? And there's also a branch. Like, see? So there's a reason like you would just like have to use your dollars to pay people to do it. Yeah. So Neighbors got some relief because we got our fucking yard mowed. And sprayed, so I had to keep the dogs off it. So they got to walk off property. It's like the first time I walked my dogs off property in years. Mostly because they have a backyard and they just play in the backyard. Everybody thinks it's like, oh, you gotta walk your fucking dogs and shit. And it's like, I know. They also get depressed and don't want to go. So figure that out while you're trying to stuff dogs need to go on walks down my throat. Um, But yeah, I want to start a little early this morning and get that out there that hey, here you can hear me say who shows up to protests. The LGBTQIA plus community, they show up and fight for their right to exist. Yes, 100%. I'll say it again. It's not those times anymore where you get a pyre gift for moving in a neighborhood. No, no. But I can promise you this. One of the things I've learned, if they're not talking to you, it's because they're talking about you. But they have to live with that. They have to live with the fact that they don't know their neighbor, and I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. My goal is to push this country left to get everyone universal health care, education, income, and housing. To put out a pro equality party that wants the best person for the job, right? And think about the DSA, right? Democratic Socialists are great, right? But you think about what they did. I think about numbers. Think about large numbers. There's only like 75,000 people that are part of the DSA. So what do you think their problem is? They don't have enough party members because people are afraid to commit to that. Why? Because people are afraid to commit to democracy. Why? Because we have a system and a set of laws that does not apply equally. So until all laws apply equally, and you can't, for example, buy your way out of prison or buy your way out of crime or change the law, um, I don't think certain people should be allowed to be pardoned. For example, people who participated in an insurrection should not be pardonable, for example. And it's become very clear to me that I need to use my platform to say, I think that the American Socialist Party, correct me when I'm wrong, should run on expanding the Supreme Court by 4 seats, putting 4 progressive Supreme Court judges in there, giving them basically perma progressive status. Since these are lifetime appointments and since a president can do whatever the fuck he wants, hey, if you elect me to office, I'll legalize weed. I'll put term limits on Supreme Court justices. I'll add 4 seats to the Supreme Court and perma progressive the U.S. Supreme Court. And then I'll put in an enforceable code of ethics in the Supreme Court that subjects them to the laws of the land. And then from there we'll tackle our issue with the Department of Justice and the FBI and the CIA being what is that word? Partisan. Those entities are not to be partisan, and they're not those FBI CIA assets aren't to be used uh, in partisan politics. Obviously, I would never call the fucking national. I would never federalize the National Guard and send them into quell protest. I would never dispatch fucking Marines. Here's why. Here's why. I'm not sending in the military without live rounds ever into a hostile environment. That would be putting the tip of the spear in unnecessary danger. Mhm. Like I want to make sure that you take care of service members and not use them as props. I want to make sure that you we do things like we make it law that you can never have another elected official single-handedly freeze funding or a budget bill including cuts to essential safety net programs are automatically like that's not even something we're willing to consciously talk about. Most recently, this budget, this big beautiful bill that Donald Trump's trying to get passed, includes $17 billion in cuts to medical services for the VA. And at the hearing, which is John Ossopp absolutely tearing somebody a new asshole, but at the hearing where they're supposed to justify their budgetary requests, Ossopp's like, okay, what are we, who's getting fired here? You're cutting $17 billion from medical services from the VA. Can you please itemize for us what doctors, nurses, hospital workers are going to lose their jobs? Have you guys figured that out? Oh, oh, as I told you on the phone before the meet. Yeah, the whole point of the phone call before the meeting was to make sure that when we got to this budgetary hearing, where you have to substantiate your budgetary line item requests, you're able to actually talk about what the fuck are you actually doing with this $17 billion you're cutting from VA medical services. I just I want to make sure that the public knows where that money's going and where it's coming from. What doctors and nurses and hospital workers and clinics and entire buildings are we going to shut down because of this $17 billion cut to VA medical services? And where is this money going? Oh, it's going in billionaires' pockets. Oh, we're going to privatize VA healthcare. Remember how I told you that my best friend AJ and I, same spending habits, same income level for the last decade, and more like about the last 20 years, and sat down and there's somehow he had like $60,000 in debt I didn't have. Same college expenses, same education level, same income, same costs, right? Like for your abode for all that time, even had both been married about the same amount of time when we sat down. And the difference between me, who I've only ever had one credit card, never really needed it otherwise. I've always worked. Meanwhile, he has $60,000 in debt. And how did he get there, you ask? One, well, every paycheck he's gotten for that whole time, he had to pay for insurance. It's probably a few $100s a month. That doesn't include out-of-pocket medical costs, and he's had health problems. So when you ask what makes universal health care so important, imagine yourself with $60,000 less in debt or more. Ask it, what would $60,000 more in debt do to you, right? For most people, their debt, that debt we're talking about, that unsecured debt, it ends up being the money that you were supposed to be saving. For most of the people I talk to, when it comes down to it, the money you're spending on your unsecured debt is money that you could be saving. That's why I'm an advocate for universal health care, is because I know why every person I talk to has a bunch of debt. The rising cost of healthcare. They don't know that, and we don't ever talk about it. But I make sure every one of my clients knows why why you have so much debt and why I've only have why at 41 when we enrolled in this program I still at work I had $6,000 in debt. I'm not personally eligible for our program, which is not me patting myself on the back. I know why. Because I got to keep all my money. Every job I've ever had, I didn't have to have insurance because I'm a disabled veteran. Zoran Mamdani won the um, primary yesterday in New York City, and he'll be the Democratic candidate for mayor. Uh, Andrew Cuomo is rumored to start his own party. The Lead, Right, and Fight, I'm pretty sure, is what he's calling it, which is, I'm pretty sure it's Lead, Right, and Fight. Dumbest shit I've ever heard. So, um, I'm really happy for the Democratic Party for New York City. What is going to happen is centrism is going to die. That's my goal. All you motherfuckers that sat on the on the sidelines my whole life and said, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not really a Democrat. I'm not really a Republican. I really don't like politics. Like all those people, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Pick a fucking side. Pick a fucking side. You either this fascist shit is okay with you and y'all can deal with it. It's easy to beat them consistently. They can all the existing Democrats that haven't spoken out against this regime. Think about you don't regularly see one of these Democrats lining up to address this regime. Now, a lot of them are operating in fear, and I wanted to make sure before we talk about the list of people who voted of the list of Democrats that voted not to impeach Trump here. There are like 120 of them. And as I've said before, and I'll continue to say, there are 100 elected Democrats that get money from AIPAC. That's Israel. There is also there are also 54 elected Democrats that are part of the Blue Dog Caucus, which is a group of Democrats that vote conservatively. My advice is to vote each of those motherfuckers out of office. Get people out of office that don't understand what motherfucking time it is. And understand anybody clinging to the ideal of Israel as like a place you want to associate with. I want to make sure you understand their genocide is on your hands. If you still stand with Israel, their genocide in Gaza is on your hands. Every woman and child. And you have to be okay with a genocide to continue to support Israel. Which again, I want to make sure I say Israel was founded in 1948 by then the head of the Jewish agency, David Ben-Gurion. The whole purpose of Israel is to, in the Middle East, mimic the United States imperialist and expansionist ways. So Tel Aviv exists. Israel has a right to exist. Okay. Israel also effectively committed acts of war against Iran. Whether there will be an actual war is remained to be seen. Okay. And I don't think uh, the United States is going to put boots on the ground. No, because we don't do that shit anymore. Okay? The reality of combat now is that it's much easier to just use drones and cheaper. So everybody could just pilot a drone. There's some robot wars is here. Fighter jets and drones and helicopters. That's where we are. The hard ground pounder 0311 grunt style door going door to door and shit. You know what's cheaper? Explosives that you drop with a drone. And I don't say that with glee, by the way. I'm just calling it out exactly what it is. So if we don't have a need for conventional warfare anymore, Zeke asked, should Israel be a Jewish state? Well, what's crazy about that question is that the second highest Jewish population in the Middle East is in Iran, outside of Israel. What's wrong with Iran? It's next door. It's also Israel is also not the Holy Land. They're burning down the Holy Land. The IDF is committing a genocide. It, Israel can be a Jewish state if it wants to be, but is it going to be a Jewish state committing a genocide? Because it's the genocide that I have a problem with. People keep conflating my beef with the IDF and it committing a and Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF committing a genocide in Gaza. Free Palestine. That does not mean that I don't want Jewish people to live. And purposefully conflating uh, completely different points of view. How I view the Jewish state versus how I view the IDF in Israel. I view the IDF as a terrorist organization. Benjamin Netanyahu is a warlord. hmm What governmentally and uh, racially and culturally goes on in Israel, I could give a fuck. It could be whatever it wants. Mhm. Is that the Jewish like capital of the world? Cool. It's the Jewish capital of the world whose military is committing a genocide. Moving the fuck along. There's there's plenty of Jewish people all over the world and other places that aren't committing a genocide. I'm just throwing this out there. You don't have to support it. You don't have to be doing it. But there's a whole bunch of people that it's like they can't detach themselves from their political party and say, "Man, what the Republicans are doing is wrong. What the Democrats are doing is wrong." Hmm. And this is what the United States has done over the course of history is invade countries, and when it's not going to go their way and they're going to have to get involved more militarily, they just overthrow your government and install someone who will just work with us. That's how the US does it, and other countries have seen how we do it, and that's what they do. hmm So AOC ripped RFK a new asshole when they were kind of asking about cuts to um, social safety nets, and the director of the is he the Health and Human Services Director, right? RFK Jr. And she dog walked the shit out of him. He did not know what the fuck he was doing. So the Republican talking point around Medicaid cuts has been uh, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, said do something productive. Okay, like vote. Um, Mitch McConnell said they'll get over it when asked what he thought his constituents, a considerable percentage of which rely on these social safety nets, are going to potentially lose access to benefits. He said they'll get over it. Excuse me. So, and remember, we always say, like, what happens in Israel happens in the United States, right? Here's newarab.com. Israel disappeared 377,000 people in Gaza. Half are children, and a reminder that there are only about 25,000 Hamas members worldwide. So when we say disappeared, we mean they no longer exist. So yeah, McConnell said they'll get over it. I posted a link in the chat, Debs. Scumbag motherfuckers. Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi voted against impeaching Donald Trump for his airstrikes in Iran. I just want to make sure that we all know Hakeem Jeffries gets a lot of money from AI PAC. Oh, Donald Trump came out pissed yesterday. The Yeah, Mitch McConnell said, yeah. Um, they've been fighting so long and so hard they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yvette Cooper, ban Pal ban Palestine action. So hey, free Palestine. Okay. Know that they're looking to silence anyone who would speak out against Israel. Oh, and I watched this video the other day, and I try to get it out of my head, and frequently it's going to end up on the show. But you know how when I got started on TikTok, I befriended a bunch of psychics, mediums, And this isn't me shitting on them. It's like whatever, man. Right? Um, this is just talk. We're just talking about. We're just talking about. Okay. Oh fuck! I forgot what I was talking about. Man, must be some good drugs. Oh, I became friends with these psychics, right? And I watched a video, uh, not from a psychic, actually. It was actually from a reporter. And it made me think about the kinds of shit that the psychics had said about this administration, mediums. Yeah. And this person said the truth of the situation is that the Republicans and Christians, um, they believe the end is nigh, the rapture is upon us. And the Jews believe uh, this sort of like death, this war, will bring about their Messiah. Now, I didn't say it out loud. I didn't say that. I heard someone say the ideologies in play. The most powerful people in the world fall in two camps. The most powerful people in the world are Christian, who their Messiah has already come, the rapture is upon us, and Donald Trump is the person to lead us into the rapture. And there are a lot of Jewish people that think that this war, this holy war, is going to draw their Messiah, their Savior. Hmm. Those people are in power. And if you think about the power and the leverage that Papal have, um, and you think about the sorts of behaviors out of the right? Yeah, religious dogma. Hmm. For the Christians, this is the end times. That's why you see like planned and coordinated mass murder, shit like that. Yeah, it's because the people. What's that saying? Their most important command. Do not believe the evidence of your eyes and ears. And that was their last and most damning command. Like those people are making your decisions. They're deciding. So, what do we do? Join a union. Go to a protest. A lot of people, when Donald Trump first got elected, people said protests won't work. Americans are lazy. They won't protest every day. Within 6 months of Donald Trump becoming president, the May Day movement came out with every day protest in Washington, D.C. So these are pretty heavily supported daily protests. I want to continue to point out the increase in the size of the number of people showing up to protest. I wouldn't be the person to tell you whether you're harsh or not, brother. Um, but yeah, Join a union, pro- protest, get involved. One of the we're actually doing it kind of backwards, right? Join a union, go to a protest. Is one of the things we've got to learn to do. One of the things we've got to learn to do is understand who the enemy is. And I haven't had enemies my whole life. I haven't had people that I was going out of my way to not fuck with. LB. Come on, bro. So I haven't had enemies my whole life. But I often have to think about how I would treat an enemy. And the first thing that I do when I establish that I don't fuck with somebody is I block that ass. And you'll never fucking hear or I'll never say your motherfucking name again. Your name will never come out of my mouth. No one you or I know will ever know your name if you and I are enemies. No one will ever know. It'll just be me and you. That's the way I perceive uh, how you treat an enemy. Once I decide I don't like somebody and we are enemies, oh honey, it's over for you. I now have disappeared, and I will literally make sure I continue to show my ass being really kind, right? But one of the things, um, Al and Bob, the Double Dragon team. Yeah, yeah, I think that's correct. Like one of the things you'll never catch me doing is like fucking flip flopping. You know what I mean? I'm a decisive person. If I decide that I don't like somebody, it's for a reason. The enemy of the common person um, happen to own all of the social media websites that all of the places, the social media websites that exist, Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, are not usable because my enemy, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, my enemy owns those things. And the one thing I don't want to do with my enemy is I don't want them to know what I'm doing, how I'm doing, who I'm doing it with, where I am. Nope. So you want to make like the biggest impact that you can, start treating these people like your enemy and fucking disappear on their ass. Mostly when I disengage, I'm looking to flank because that's my nature. I'm a flanker. I notice I do that like when I game, and I'm always looking for the high percentage look. Yeah, join a union. Let's get to protesting July 5th. July 4th is the next one. Um, I'll be live the morning of July 4th, but I will be working because here's why. So, first of all, I'm an anti-capitalist. I'm a socialist. The socialist economic theory says that things like um, rent, interest, and taxes are derivative of your labor, and they should be limited. And as a socialist, my job is to get people to stop paying their credit cards and stop paying all that high interest debt, and instead get out of debt in the next few years. Save themselves $1,000 a month. Mm. About the average person I'm saving between like 30 and $50,000 over the course of the term. Mhm. Not to mention all that time. So not only is my function as a socialist and an anti-capitalist, and then my job, while pays me great, by the way, me getting paid a lot of money and my job paying me well does not make me a capitalist. I am a beneficiary of the talent with which I possess, the talent I possess. Okay. So, um, I will work on a holiday. Okay. I'll work on July 4th. Because I get a day off for working on top of time and a half, in addition to uh, it being I'm an anti-capitalist. Okay. Independence Day, think we fucked that up? Yeah. Well, remember that the calls for impeachment and removal are growing. Protest numbers are increasing, frequencies increasing, the organization levels improving. The message is loud and clear. The United States rejects uh, these foreign assets that are currently running our government. Zeke said, "Shit, if I get a time and a half, I do holidays every time, bro." They came to us with this plan for OT, uh, and basically said, not only will we pay you time and a half, we'll pay you your rate. And so your rate for your OT is how many dollars an hour you're making with your commission factored in. By the way, oh, I can just do it on my computer. I forgot. I have a calculator right in front of me. So I want to point out I'm in the process of doing the math, but basically your boy made like 12K last month and I worked 160 hours. So my effective hourly rate is $75 an hour. Okay. So yeah, I have a $10,000 bonus and plus uh regular pay. Okay. So for OT, they do time and a half based off your effective hourly rate. So keep in mind, I only get paid like $15 an hour, right? So when they came to us and they were like, "Hey, if you end up working OT, it's your effective hourly rate time and a half." And you're like, "What's effective hourly rate?" "Oh, it's how much you would be making an hour paid yeah, teach me your ways, right? I work for Beyond Finance. And it's an entry level position, work from home. They send you a computer, the headset, the mouse and keyboard, it all. Like I said, only pays about 15 an hour, but it's a sales job. Mhm. You can work 2 hours of overtime a day without requesting to work overtime. They'll just put up, you can request to work overtime. I would recommend it with a company that has a great overtime policy where they're actually fucking paying you if you're doing good work. You know what I mean? And PTO benefits they have. That's one of the reasons yesterday was a breath of fresh air. So you earn at 1 hour of paid time off per 8 hours worked, and you start with 3 floating holidays. So the your rate of earning PTO is pretty consistent everywhere you go. It's 1 hour of earned PTO per 8 hours worked. Um, so it takes 2 weeks to get a day off, an extra day off. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not perfect, Zeke, but one of the things I pride myself on is, let's say, well, first of all, I've run a sales organization. So when you've run a sales organization, the theme is row, row, row your boat. You want to be available the whole 9 to 5er while you're at work, right? And take calls as they come in. But the problem, no, I work from home. I don't work in a call center. I work in finance. So these are people that are going on the internet and they're like, they make too much money to afford a bankruptcy. Yeah, they can't qualify for bankruptcy. They make too much money. Um, but row, row, row your boat is the principle and demand. And so it's like you got to have people available to take inbound calls. Um, and then you have to have people that are good at selling shit. And you also have to have a group, you have to have people making outbound phone calls, returning calls. So I effectively run my own sales organization. I just put my head down and focus on the leads that I got. And all I do is think about every person that I sell, I'm talking to the next day. I have some additional information to give you. I just don't want to overwhelm you. Let's talk tomorrow too. Okay. Get another 5 or 10 minutes, give them a few phone numbers, have them write it down, make sure they got the app on their phone. And then I'm going to call you in a week. I'm going to ask you if anything's happened, if anything's, you got any questions, and come up, right? And then if, hopefully in that week, 8 days after you've enrolled, you don't have any issues. And then I call you a couple weeks later, and now you're like a month-ish in, and I call you again, same thought process. Everything good? Any questions? Anything come up? Generally, they don't answer by the third call because things are, you're a rocket ship, baby. Once you pay your first couple payments and the first deal gets negotiated, you're on fire. You're not paying none of these motherfuckers anymore. You got money in the bank. Life ain't so goddamn bad. Shit, you might go get ice cream. That's how people hear. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, I buy Capital One all day for zero interest. So what I do is I buy their balance and negotiate for 40 to 60% with Capital One and then charge 25% of the negotiated debt as a fee. So they're saving money on what they owe and they're not paying 100% of the principal plus interest back. Mhm. It's the best job I've ever had. Like I said, nobody's doing this and spending money. So keep in mind, my job is to save people money and keep them from declaring bankruptcy or falling farther behind, which is mostly what I find. Drowning, as we call it. And you got to think there's two pools of people. There's people that have everything on auto pay, and gosh, I don't have anything on auto pay. So I literally cannot imagine what it's like to have all your bills on auto pay. Can't imagine that. But I also can't imagine having all these accounts and calling these people or going to their website to do business with all these people manually. And so I just ask my clients, what if my pillow guy calls you one day to save him? Mike Lindell? So I think he has probably, I bet you he pays his credit cards off. I bet he doesn't have outstanding debt. He seems like the kind of guy that brags about having all this room on his credit card, but then you find out, hey, I mean, I hope that happens to everyone that fucks with Donald Trump. I hope every single person that ever affiliated themselves with Donald Trump, I hope you lose everything. AOC said, Mr. President, don't take your anger out on me. I'm just a silly girl. Take it out on whoever convinced you to betray the American people and our Constitution by illegally bombing Iran and dragging us into a war. It only took you 5 months to break every promise you made. Hey, you know who has the balls to stand up to Donald Trump? That's right, AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. AOC. Yeah, she's too real. She's gonna get she's gonna get martyred. They'll build statues of her. I bit my nails to the quick in a fit of anxiety over whether or not my furnace was blown out yesterday. By the way, the guy came out. Uh, it was a little cylinder and it needed cleaned. Hakeem Jeffries. Yep. Basically, everybody that gets money from AI PAC voted against impeaching Donald Trump for bombing Iran. And then you got to remember there's 54 Blue Dog Caucus members. Hmm. Yep. Jared Moskowitz out here giving Jared's a bad name. Hey, I just want to point out this especially aggressive titling. I'm not shocked that Mom Donnie won. No, we got a new furnace installed, and he said the air conditioner is fine. Like it just needed a little part replaced. It was like 250, $350. It cost, yeah, less than $300 to fix. He like cleaned it and replaced the part, and it hums. I woke up this morning and had to pull the covers over me and pull the dogs all on me. So I was freezing. Yep. Yep. And you got to remember how, yeah, a lot of them voted against impeaching him because they didn't want to become a political target, right? They're not trying to get killed. And they understand a lot of the sentiment is that it didn't matter. It didn't matter if 120 more Democrats voted to impeach Donald Trump. But what it does do is it gives them some speck of expectation of safety. If they had impeached Donald Trump, people would have died. Just one of the things we gotta say out loud. He's a tribal warlord. Any attempt to hold him accountable in office will be met with violence. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Like you could you could gussy it up however the fuck you want. Don't let it distract you from the fact that Zohran Mamdani, a democratic socialist, a self-described socialist, beat Andrew Cuomo and the big money billionaires who spent $1 billion to try to beat him. And I expect there to be more because I expect as we grow, as we establish the American Socialist Party, as we start fundraising, as people start contributing art and making music and talking about there's a person, him, I'll be him, I'll be the guy, I'll fall on the sword, I'll be the guy. Instead of I want to run for public office, how about I want to reshape a politics in the United States? I want to establish the American Socialist Party, a party for empathetic people, a party for normal human beings, a party for the everyday worker that's very pro union and pro equality. So we should be a very diverse party whose entire mission is to deliver to the American people and the rest of the world universal health care, education, income, and housing as the foundation that we build upon, right? Restoring America, right? Obviously, with this regime tearing everything down, you're going to have to rebuild it, right? There's a reason that I'm not just out here pumping DSA. DSA only has 75,000 members. It's a fundraising organization. Every DSA candidate ends up running as a Democrat against a Republican. And it's usually a billionaire versus a common person. And typically the Republicans dodge debate and shit. And they don't want to sit down and have a conversation about policy. And they don't want to have a conversation about their plan once they're in office. But I do. And I'll do that with you. And I'll sit down with you as a political advisor, as the head of a political party. I'll help you figure out what office to run for and what you need to do to prepare and what talking points you need to work on and things that you want to learn, like how to actively listen. Listen to the whole question. Don't be afraid to ask someone to repeat themselves. Take your time. speak in complete sentences. Don't say like mm, and well right? Yep. But I think we need people to rise up, people that hear what I'm saying, that are willing to do their research, have priorities, things that you come into office and this is what you want to do first. The first thing you want to do when you become an elected official is legalize cannabis. Um, it's going to cause an influx in tax dollars, and then all your social programs are paid for. All you've got to do is design, implement, install, and manage. Hmm. Design, install, implement, and manage. Hmm. I've been a project management and project management before. So there's got to be an office you can run for. There's got to be some way you can get involved in politics. I'm going to be the head of a political party. I'm going to get a degree in political science. I'm going to pass the LSAT. I'm definitely not leaving my job, but it would be nice just to have, you know, even more knowledge of legalese than I do and how policy is written. And that will make me a better candidate down the road when I get tapped. When someone that I helped get elected says, I'm running for this office, I want to need you here. Um, and I get nominated or selected, as opposed to like, I want to be the whatever the fuck. Remember, I didn't want any of this. Mhm. In fact, after I met my wife and I realized I loved her, I didn't want to share her with the world anymore because the world's a horrible place. And we kind of withdrew from the public and just hung out at home. And that was all before Donald Trump. Once Donald Trump got elected, shit stopped being funny. And the best part about it is, I found out exactly who all the people around me were. I have no further questions. I know exactly who you are now. Hmm. But I think AOC's in danger. Donald Trump keeps getting less popular. Oh, you know what I saw? Yeah, Zeke, dead ass. Let me explain this to you. So my wife had and I had been dating for like a couple years, and I like I said, I love my wife. Like sometimes she's real mean, but like on the whole, she's like a great just a catch. Okay. Um, but she was very competitive with me when we first started dating, and yeah, my friends had been saying like you should get into stand-up comedy. You're really funny, and I had told them like you gotta meet Taylor. She's also really funny. And then people would meet Taylor and they'd of course fall in love with Taylor. She's hilarious. She used to be a clown. Of course she's funny. Um so when you're young and you're in love and you get told like y'all are funny, you should do stand-up comedy. I had bartended for a year at an A-list comedy club, and didn't go on stage. So I didn't think to go on stage. No. When I tell you, like, the first time Taylor went on stage, she's so mad at me. The first time Taylor went on stage, she was so goddamn funny that I fumbled my phone, and the whole first like minute and a half, which is her doing crowd work on her own family, I fumbled my phone because I was in shell shock at her walking. Yeah, when she was a little kid, she was a clown. Her family, they would dress up like clowns and do birthday parties. She said her parents made like $7,000 to $30,000 a year just doing birthday parties as clowns. Honka honka type shit. Just go to people's houses, dress up as clowns, bring balloons, blow up balloons, suck in some helium. You do that shit? Yeah, she did that shit. Hmm? As a kid. Yeah. Now she doesn't wear makeup. It's great. It's great. And one of the things it endeared me to her was after she realized she liked me, she stopped wearing all that shit. Because I don't give a fuck about that. I'm touching you. I'm putting my hands on your face. You gonna wear makeup and you gonna let a man touch your face? That don't make no damn sense, right? But the first time Taylor went on stage, she blew the room away. Um, People told me after the show that you're like a professional comedian. She's like a superstar, like the headliner. She's the whole reason people show up. Um, Within the first couple times Taylor and I had gone on stage, we got sucked into a comedy competition, and the prize was a 60-minute, an hour long set on Comcast. Not bad for having been up on stage like two times before we got picked for this. And every show was a clapper. So you bring people, or it's called a bringer. You try to bring as many people as you can, and then have the loudest clap after you go up. And then they bring everybody up in the end, and they just say, "This was first, this was second, this was third." You advance, right? Well, I basically Taylor and I didn't go up on the same weeks, and I would go up, I'd advance. Then the next time it'd be Taylor's turn, she'd go up, she'd advance, and we were together in the finals of this comedy competition. There was like, I don't know. I think there was like 16 people in this competition in the finals. And on the last in the like finals, I'll be really honest, Taylor's family was who showed up and supported us, and she won that shit. She had the whole audience. They were her fucking family. Um I didn't win, and neither of us won. And the person that won owns a comedy shop in Cincinnati, Ohio that has a tattoo parlor built in. He is a convict, and his material was so bad, by the way. I listened to it and I was just like, I wouldn't put that on Comcast. He won, and guess what? He never filmed his shit. Comcast said they didn't want it. Why? Because he had visible face tattoos. You had Me and my wife, who, again, all the credit in the world to my wife. Like, Taylor is fucking awesome. She just has like a natural ability to entertain people. You can't teach it. It's just like you either have it or you don't. And when we got kind of fucking hosed, it really like made me not want to. I'm cool with putting my best effort in. I can I can win at anything I put my mind to. Anything. But when I put my best effort in and I know my wife is really good and we didn't get that outcome, and then the person that beat us, they didn't even like get the reward. It was so fucking disheartening. And add to that that Donald Trump had won. So consider that the people that called us that we call friends and family made fun of us for losing that. They were there to support us and we lost and got fucking hosed. And like had the owner of the club trying to explain to me why we lost. And I'm like, all of these people that came to watch us are our friends and family, and you just fucking hosed us for your boy that's a convict in Ohio? The fuck? Anyway, fuck all of those people involved, every one of them. In yeah, there are very few people not tied to, or there's one, there's a few people that work there that I wouldn't blatantly double bird to the face. Hmm. It killed every desire of mine to fight that fight over and over again. Nope, that's a waste of energy. My energy is better spent energy. I got into podcasting. So I was a sports journalist covering the Indianapolis Colts, and I stopped doing stand up comedy, and I got asked uh, to cover the Indianapolis Colts for Stampede Blue, which was the second largest Indianapolis Colts website outside of Colts.com itself, and I did that for 6 seasons. I got paid by Vox Media. It was awesome. So I got paid to do the kind of shit that I do now for an hour and a half a day for free. Um, and for the record, the reason I don't ask you all for money is because I don't need money personally, and it would be disingenuous at my income level to ask you to pay me to do this. I'm just glad you're here. I every day, you're my brain kicks me every morning and is like, why don't you just throw up your links every now and then? And my other half of the brain says, not everything that you give has to get you some reward, some financial reward. And one of the things that I see content creators do too often is talk about monetizing them. And what it is it's an attempt to capitalize on your content, and I'm more focused on the impact of my content. Does that make sense? Like I see more, how can what I do affect other people as opposed to what can I get out of it? Because one of the things that I've learned is that those likes, those views, those shares, those comments, they mean absolutely no thing. They mean nothing. Now, one of the things that I do see is when I'm being hindered. when they're specifically pushing me off of their platforms. I can see that. You know, how the fuck do I have like 17, 16,000 followers and um, get less than 500 views on a video? And I post a video a day. But yeah, I want to make sure I get on here every day and say, without you, there's no me. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here singing into the fucking void, right? Um, and I know shit's kind of wild. Shit, it is. It is kind of wild. But I just want to continue to point out how much of a fucking failure this regime is. And oh, by the way, take care of yourself and be careful because ICE has 60,000 people held in captivity, over half of whom do not have a criminal record. And quite a bit of them are American citizens. And it feels like every day a new one gets identified and the government's like release them. So it's a lot more people than just Mahmoud Khalil than it is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I brain farted. Yeah, I haven't watched Breaking Bad either. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to see a man about a pew pew very soon. Um, if you're a woman or a person of color, time. They're out of money. They don't have warrants. They'll beat and choke and force someone into um, a seizure and then continue to try to subdue them while they're having a fucking seizure. It's time. I saw a story that said ICE beat a father of three Marines, and that was sort of the tipping point for me, where I was like, okay, okay. And I'm not saying to hunt ICE. That's not the call. The call um, is to make sure. Hmm. I've seen other content creators call for like open season on ICE, but I'm not gonna leave my house. That's premeditated murder, you fucking idiots. But protect yourself. Know your rights. Know that you can let them detain you, but you have no reason to do that. They don't have a right to do that. If ICE walks up to your car window and they're like, roll your fucking window down, no. And yeah, they have beat people's windows in and done some shit. Yep. You notice they're pulling back on that, right? Have you noticed ICE has backed the fuck off in terms of the level of violence? That's strange. They're going the opposite direction. Yeah, it's because they don't have any money. They're on the cusp. ICE is on the cusp of not getting paid, not being federally funded. They're running out of fucking money. And you know what happens when ICE doesn't have any money and their employees aren't getting fucking paid? Jailbreak. All 60K, all 60,000 of those people that they have illegally detained without a judicial warrant and without due process. And by the way, one of the things that I want to make sure that I say is that I totally catch what the Supreme Court is saying. Donald Trump may continue to deport people to third countries. hmm He's not doing that. So what he's doing is rendition. They left him open to a lawsuit. It's like they cut him on along the side and let him bleed to draw the sharks in by being like, "Yep." It's like they shine a light. The Supreme Court, what they did in my eyes is they shined a light on Donald Trump, and it's like, look what Donald Trump did. Looks like he'll get to continue to deport people to third countries. Except what he's doing isn't deportation. What he's doing is rendition. It is kidnapping and trafficking and exiling people to countries they're not from is rendition. There's a reason that they did it. They left a legal loophole. I did not pass the bar. I am not a lawyer. I'm just smart enough to see when the Supreme Court is like, sure, you can deport people, but if they don't get due process, it costs your administration money to transport them there and then bring them back home and then pay for the lawsuit, which you're going to lose. hmm It comes out of the chest, the monies. Hmm. Make no mistake about it, Zeke. Immigrants have built this country. This is a nation of immigrants. No, Albie, you got to do what you got to do, baby. I'm never upset at somebody if you're not here. I'm sad if you're not here because I'm worried about you, not because I'm like, I deserve all this attention you're not giving me. To speak on what y'all were talking about in the comments while I was talking about other shit, since Donald Trump got elected in 2016, oh, what did it cost? Everything. Everything. I have like Brett, AJ, Eli, Burkhead, Jimmy, 5 friends, and my wife, 6. Everyone else is outside that circle. Everyone else, like when I go see family members, whether it's my family or their family, there will be no me and you talking outside this room. Mm-mm. One of the things that I make sure I do, one of the things I make sure that I do with anyone who disagrees with me is I make you have that conversation publicly in front of God and everybody. You're going to say your little dumbass shit, and then I'm going to say my well thought out, well intentioned shit, and then everyone in the room is going to have to make a choice. And you know what has happened over time? Those people have chosen me. And what has happened is now when I go around family, those people that first they wanted to have one-on-one conversations, say their little shit, you retort, them tell you you're a pussy ass, and y'all go your separate ways, and me just think ill of you in the process, right? We went from that to now when we go places, they say shit like, "Oh, you don't want to sit outside with the men," and I look up, I don't see any men here, and go over in the house. Um, yeah, I have people that I check on, about half a dozen. And I really do try to overextend myself and offer myself in friendship, seeing if the other party is interested. And I can tell you that by and large, those people who don't want to hear my well intentioned, well thought out shit, also don't want friends. How crazy is that? Most people just want someone they can use, right? Albie said, so what you're saying is ICE can take anyone they want. They can try. They can try. But it's time. It's time. 60,000 people in ICE custody. Half of them do not have a criminal record. Some percentage of them are also American citizens. ICE is running out of money. Albie said, I would have thought of being in the military, you'd already have a pew pew. If I had a gun, I'd have blown my brains out a long time ago. I'm one of those people you have no need for a firearm until you need a firearm. It's just an unnecessary risk. I'm all about risk management. That's what happens when you join the military, specifically the Marine Corps, specifically the Marine Corps infantry, specifically the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps infantry, in Marine Corps history. I'm fluent on multiple weapon systems. But I haven't needed a firearm, so I'm not in danger. And I think about all the times up until right now that I've ever felt maybe I should protect myself. When you grow up around that and you've had a gun in your house or on your person or in the armory just a hop, skip, and a jump away, I could be at that armory desk in fucking 7 seconds if I have to be. Um, can't get me farther away from it. Couldn't have gotten me farther away from it. Far too a destructive a toy. You know, one of the problems I have with guns are never properly represented. Yeah, I saw that video too. Yep. So be careful. Again, I've asked other people to let me be your barometer. If I had known ICE had that many people in custody and that many people had no priors and that some percentage of them were American citizens, I'd have been saying it's time before that. But when uh when the people that are holding other people captive are out of money, who do you think don't eat first? Who do you think don't get medical care first? Who do you think doesn't get treated with dignity and respect first. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Ow. When I watched them beat the father of three active duty Marines, I thought, well, those people are in a world of hurt because hell hath no fury like an enraged Marine. It's time. But I say all that shit to say, like, the president of the United States blaming the prior president for thunderstorms. So take it all with a grain of salt. Don't take it so seriously. Don't unnecessarily stress yourself out. Um, I'm just gonna spend a little extra time at the range. That's it. Hmm. Like Jack Reacher. Anyway, have a good day.